She was called a bolter, the cruel label British high society gave women who dared to leave unhappy marriages. But behind that scandalous word was a woman who lost a child, lost custody of her children, watched her daughter become Princess Diana, and then lost her forever. This is the untold story of Francis Shand Kydd, the mother history reduced to a headline, but whose life was far more tragic, complicated, and human than the tabloids ever admitted. In 1967, British society turned against a woman named Francis Shand Kydd. Aristocrats whispered about her. Newspapers mocked her. The crime? She left her marriage and fell in love with another man. In the rigid world of the British upper class, that single decision earned her a permanent label: bolter. But Francis was far more than the scandal attached to her name. Born into aristocracy in 1936 at Park House on the Sandringham estate, Francis grew up surrounded by royalty. Her family moved in the same circles as the royal family, and from childhood, she understood the rules of elite British society. Appearance mattered more than happiness. Duty mattered more than emotion. At just 18 years old, she married John Spencer, heir to one of Britain's most powerful aristocratic families. Their wedding at Westminster Abbey was attended by Queen Elizabeth II and Britain's highest-ranking nobles. From the outside, it looked like a fairy tale. Inside the marriage, it was something very different. Francis quickly became trapped under enormous pressure to produce a male heir. After giving birth to 2 daughters, she finally had a son in 1960, but the baby survived only 10 hours. The loss devastated her. Instead of comfort, she faced medical examinations and silent blame from her husband and aristocratic society. A year later, she gave birth to another daughter, Diana Spencer. The world would later know Diana as the People's Princess, but at birth, her arrival was reportedly met with disappointment because she was not the son the family desperately wanted. By the mid-1960s, Francis's marriage was collapsing under grief, pressure, and emotional distance. According to later accounts from her son Charles Spencer, there were also allegations of abuse inside the home, though these claims remained debated. Then, Francis met Peter Shand Kydd, a warm and charismatic businessman who offered the affection and emotional connection missing from her marriage. In 1967, she made the shocking decision to leave. The consequences were brutal. Her husband fought for custody of their children and won. Even more painful, Francis's own mother sided against her in court. In the eyes of British society, Francis became the villain, the selfish aristocrat who abandoned her family.
But the reality was far more complicated. Separated from her children and destroyed by public humiliation, Francis rebuilt her life far away from London society, on a remote Scottish island. She ran a small gift shop, fished for salmon, and tried to live quietly, away from cameras and gossip columns. Meanwhile, her daughter Diana was growing into the most famous woman in the world. When Diana married Prince Charles in 1981, Francis once again found herself pulled back into public attention. Their relationship remained loving, but fragile, shaped by years of separation, misunderstanding, and emotional wounds that never fully healed. As Diana's own marriage began falling apart, painful similarities between mother and daughter emerged. Both women struggled under the crushing expectations of royalty and public judgment. Both searched desperately for personal freedom. In the 1990s, Francis converted to Catholicism and dedicated much of her life to helping sick and disabled children through pilgrimages to Lourdes. Friends described her as humble, deeply compassionate, and uninterested in status or attention. Despite being Diana's mother, she rarely gave interviews and refused to profit from royal fame. But tragedy struck again in 1997. After Diana's divorce from Prince Charles, tensions grew between mother and daughter.
A magazine interview given by Francis unintentionally hurt Diana deeply, and the two stopped speaking. Then came the night of August 31, 1997. Princess Diana died in Paris, while she and her mother were estranged. Francis had to live with the unbearable reality that their final conversations had ended in anger. It was a grief she carried for the rest of her life. In her later years, Francis battled Parkinson's disease and a brain tumor while continuing her quiet religious work in Scotland. She died in 2004 at the age of 68. No royal spectacle followed her death, no grand ceremony. She was buried quietly in Scotland, near the small town where she had spent decades rebuilding her life far from aristocratic society. History often remembered Francis Shand Kydd as the woman who walked away, but that version ignores everything else she endured: the death of a child, the loss of custody, public humiliation, failed marriages, estrangement.
Francis Shand Kydd spent most of her life being judged for one decision. But behind the headlines was a woman carrying unimaginable grief, heartbreak, and regret. History called her a bolter. In reality, she was simply human, trying to find peace in a world that never stopped punishing her for wanting freedom.